All right, guys, now that the clickbaiters got all their Kohberger hearing stuff out the way, I'm going to go over the 3 top things we learned from the Kohberger hearing.
I'm king. Back.
Let's just get your experts looking at the IgG stuff and exactly what they can read from that.
Joining me to discuss the latest twist in this case are 2 people who've been in the trenches defending clients. Bill Gallagher is a Cincinnati-based defense attorney who's tried and defended 13 death penalty cases. That's right, 13. And Jonna Spilbor is a defense attorney from New York. Thanks to both of you for coming on. Bill, I'll start with you. The defense doesn't think Bryan Kohberger can get a fair trial in Latah County. It's a county of 40,000 people. The press coverage has been unprecedented. The defense wants this case moved. The state is saying, look, we think we can try this case here, and we don't even know if there's any prejudice. The judge kind of agrees. How are we going to know that there's any prejudice before we even try to seat a jury? So,
yeah. Okay, number 1. Ann Taylor and Kohberger's defense is already trying to get the trial, which isn't going to happen until at least next year now, right? They're trying to get they're trying to get it moved, and they haven't even tried to poll a jury yet to see what they would say, right? To see if they actually could get a fair jury, right? That doesn't make any sense to me. So they're already trying. Everybody in the whole United States already knows everything that's out there, right? Everything that's not in the gag order. In my opinion, it's not going to matter what county they go to. And I agree with the judge. I mean, why are they already trying to move the case, Ann Taylor and the defense, when they didn't even try once yet to see if they could get people on the jury that they think the defense thinks could, be fair, right? Just doesn't make any sense to me. And again, why would Kohberger and Ann Taylor, if they really believed Kohberger was innocent and there wasn't enough evidence to convict him, why would they keep wanting him to sit in jail for at least another year now? Just doesn't make any sense to me, guys.
So, your thoughts on that?
I really think that, the traditional way is what? You try and pick a jury and see if you can. That's normally what most state laws require you to do.
Hello.
But I have seen, especially in high-profile cases, at times where people have done surveys in advance of a trial and used those survey results as an indication of what the general population in that jurisdiction might be feeling about a case. And that would be at least a preliminary way to do that, and so that it doesn't further delay the trial.
And to all you Kohberger's innocent people, where's the outcry from the Moscow community saying that the police is corrupt, or there's tunnels leading from 1122 King Road somewhere else, or there was a cult that was involved with the murder, right? Don't you think if any of that was even remotely true, there would be people protesting and outside the courthouse, outside the police station, right? Give me a fucking break. Again, Looney Tunes.
Defense lawyer, that would be my argument. Why are we all going to show up at the courthouse ready to try a case that's going to take months if 2, 3, 4 days into it, we realize we're in the wrong venue. We can't try this here. We're going to have to go somewhere else in the state and then start all over again. That's not really fair to anybody getting ready for such a long and involved trial. So, hey, let's just do a survey. Maybe they can even agree on the questions from both sides to figure out whether or not residents of that area have sort of prejudged this case.
Yeah, do something. Don't just say, "Oh, we can't get a fair trial," without trying anything, right? Does that make sense? No.
Mm-hmm. And Judge talked about that, the fact that they could send out the jury questionnaire and evaluate it from there. But are you talking about maybe sending out a survey even before a questionnaire, Bill?
Right. I'm thinking we're not sending it necessarily to prospective jurors. We're gonna figure a way, I think, to do the same sort of cross section of the community survey that sort of.
Remember, this guy is a professional. He's tried 13 death penalty cases. Okay, he's a professional.
Be representative. Lots of universities have departments that do this all the time. They do survey type of work, and they can get into a little bit more about what have you read in the press about this, what are your feelings about this, without poisoning necessarily the mind of an actual juror. You can tell the judge these are what the attitudes are well before we even think about jury selection. You can do it now.
And I know you're not supposed to, when you're charged with something, say anything, every time you have a hearing. But let me tell you something. If I was falsely convicted of and charged with killing 4 people, every fucking time I was in that courtroom for a hearing, I would make sure everybody and the judge heard that me saying that I'm innocent and I need to get the hell out of here. Okay? That's just me. I wouldn't be telling my attorney to, oh yeah, let's just keep postponing the trial for as long as possible. I have no idea. It just baffles my mind.
That's really interesting. Jonna, what are your thoughts? Because this is a case that I think has had an unprecedented amount of press coverage. And I say that because we have social media now. Yeah. We have Facebook groups. We have Reddit. We have Twitter. We have TikTok. My God, TikTok. If you go on TikTok, the number of videos about this case, it's insane. Now, I'm not saying every juror in Latah County, Idaho, is on TikTok or Reddit reading all of this stuff. But there's a lot out there about this case. In the Vallow case, in the Daybell case, they just moved these things. They were like, you know what? We're moving it. We're moving it to Boise. That's it. Yep. So what is your thought?
Yeah, well, this case is way bigger than Lori Vallow case. This is the biggest case I can remember. It's up there with the Watts case. Probably bigger. It's probably bigger than the Watts case. So again, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to matter what county they move this trial to. Again, everybody already knows all the information, unless you find somebody that lives in the woods with no electricity, right? I mean, everybody just knows, right?
Do you think this is something maybe they should just pick it up and move it, or do they have to try to?
And I guarantee you, they're gonna get at least a couple Looney Tunes on the jury that believes Kohberger's innocent, no matter what evidence they hear, right? So, you don't know what's going to happen with these trials, because you get one of these crazy people that are just adamant that there's no way one person with a K-bar knife that was made to kill people could sneak up on 4 drunk and probably high 20-year-olds, 3 of which were females, right? And then some people still don't understand that this happens almost every day. One person kills multiple people with a knife. I mean, it just has, and it's happened throughout history all the time. But then, again, a lot of these Looney Tunes are saying, there's no way he could have done it by himself. That's just total. Obviously, you don't know what you're talking about if you think that, or you just, I don't know. I mean, you got to do some more research, because obviously it's very doable. And it was done in under 10 minutes because it was. Those are the facts of the case, right?
To seat a jury first.
Yeah, so ordinarily I don't get my feathers ruffled over changes of venue for the reasons that you just said. In this day and age, guys, I mean, with so much digital out there, our smartphones that never shut off, like everybody knows about every high profile case. So usually a change of venue really is something that turns out not to be necessary or not to be a big deal.
Okay, and again, this girl is qualified and a professional as well. She just said a change of venue doesn't really matter at all, right? She also said everybody knows because everybody has a smartphone, right?
However, this case I do think is different because it is very, very small town, because it's a death penalty case, because the circumstances are just so gruesome and there's been so much coverage. I mean, you mentioned before we went on the air today, 9,000 tips. Well, how many of those 9,000 were from the 40,000 people in that small little community? I mean, it's a big number. And my thought is kind of similar, like, why not just get ahead of it? What harm is there in changing the venue to a nearby or not so nearby town?
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I don't care either way whether they move it or keep it. I don't care. I just want the trial to happen. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think what are they? Even if they move it to the next county or 2 counties over, right? Everybody's still gonna know everything that's out there, right? That's just me. I mean, maybe the people in Moscow feel some type of way, and maybe the defense is thinking that they're all going to be against Kohberger. Okay, but I think most people are going to feel that way anywhere in Idaho. That's just me, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
To avoid what Bill was talking about, to avoid the wasting of everyone's time and resources, calling all these people in for voir dire only to learn that it's not going to be possible to get the fair and impartial jury. So if ever there was a case that screamed for a change of venue, I think this one's it.
I want to take a second to tell you about truthfinder.com. The cases we cover, like the
people that start combing through, but also have to have legal training so that they know what they're looking for. You can't just have the trial lawyers do it. They'll never get through it.
I skipped the Truth Finder ad.
But you can't just give it to an investigator because there are issues, constitutional issues that may come up, whether it is Fourth Amendment issues, primarily, right? Search and seizure. But you're also looking for evidence to be used in trial, whether it be impeachment of witnesses or whether it be evidence that tends to negate some element that's in there. So all the people on the team have to have some legal training, but they're going to be spending weeks, if not months. The biggest case I've ever had was 4 terabytes. I can't begin to imagine what 51 terabytes looks like.
4 terabytes, wow. Even 4 terabytes, that's still a lot.
Okay, so they have 51 terabytes of basically evidence against Bryan Kohberger, right? You know, you guys know what my opinion is. I think even just the evidence that the public knows about is enough to convict Kohberger. I mean, he can't explain the DNA on the knife sheath. And DNA is DNA, guys. It doesn't matter if it's a little tiny bit or if it's a ton. If it's his DNA, it's his DNA, right? Okay? Some of you still, after a year and a half, do not understand that. That baffles my mind, too. And then I hear some people or some creators saying, like Harsh Reality, saying that the K-bar wasn't even the murder weapon. What a dumb clown, right? I mean, obviously, right after it happened, they took it down to the morgue and they had, people examine the wounds. Oh, Yeah, that's about exactly as deep as a K-bar. The dimensions all line up. They're all stab wounds. Oh, they can see the guard mark from the K-bar. Oh, there's a K-bar knife sheath underneath Madison's body. Oh, yeah, the murder weapon was a K-bar knife. I mean, it's just ridiculous how some people and these creators just use this clickbait. And then I get it. It messes up. Messes with a lot of you guys' heads, right? But you got to learn to figure out who just does clickbaity videos all the time and puts these dumb titles just to and doesn't say anything new, right? You guys will start learning.
A lot of information. Jonna, preparing for a case like this, I mean, they do have experts. They've said that. They have investigators on the team, but it's still a lot of information to go through, even if you do have a large team working with you.
It is. And the process, let's remember, the prosecution said they could be ready for trial this summer, even with the 51 terabytes, right? But for some reason, it's going to take Aunt Taylor and her team another year to go over the 51 terabytes, right? Give me a fucking break. That's a huge discrepancy, right? Over a year, right? How can the detectives working on the Kohberger case get it done in a couple months, but the whole team that's defending Kohberger, it's going to take a year and a half? Someone make it make sense to me.
Yeah, it is. And because the case is so unique, as you mentioned, it's not one of those cases where, as a defense attorney, you would want to rush it through and exercise your client's right to a speedy trial with the hope that the state is going to be unable to get even more evidence to use against him. Now, that happens a lot. Like, sometimes we don't want to wait a year and a half, 2 years to try a case, because that just gives the prosecutor more time to prepare. But in this case, it seems like if they've got 51 terabytes of information, although I guarantee you some of that is repetitive and duplicates, but that means they've already got what they probably feel is enough to convict him in this death penalty case. So,
boom. I mean, yes. There's the professional talking and saying they probably have enough evidence to convict Kohberger, right? I think the defense's strategy here is just to try and hold out and just try and find some loophole, right, that could get Kohberger potentially off on a technicality, right? Just try and find somewhere where somebody just made the tiniest mistake or something, right? I think that's what they're trying to do, because they know their fate is sealed, as far as I'm concerned. Kohberger's guilty. He's done.
So it only makes sense for the defense to say, give us all the time we need. It's no skin off your back. The defendant is incarcerated. He's not going to get out pending the trial in this case. So what harm is it if you give the defense all the time they need to go through all of this stuff? And while
yeah, there's no harm in it, but I'm just saying, why would Kohberger? I mean, obviously Kohberger is he can get whatever lawyers he wants, and he can tell his lawyers to do whatever he wants. Obviously, he's agreeing with Aunt Taylor and the whole team and saying, yes, I think I'm innocent, but I want to sit in jail for however long it takes, right? Even though I'm innocent. Like I said earlier, if that was me, I would not have waived my speedy trial, and I would have already had my trial or be having it right now, because hey, I'm innocent, so there's no way you can have enough evidence to convict me. Hello. But let's go a little bit more.
we're on the subject, also make sure you give the defense all of the stuff, because I know there are some fights about that as well.
Oh yeah, and some of you were saying, oh, they're not giving the defense all they have. They've given the defense all they have plus some. I mean, they said a couple exhibits of the defense that they turned over to defense were unprecedented. So in what they're saying is, in any other case, some of the evidence they turned over to Ann Taylor and Bryan Kohberger, they would have never done that if this case wasn't as big as it is and as public as it is. So the FBI and the Moscow PD have turned over everything plus some. So you guys that were claiming, oh, the defense doesn't have everything they need. Bullshit.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I think is kind of interesting is the fact that, Judge has said, I just can't imagine setting something out that far into 2025. Like the thought of setting a trial out that far out into the future is just mind-boggling to him. But
it is. And now we're going to have to listen to fucking harsh reality, do 2 or 3 fucking Moscow Bryan Kohberger videos a day for over another year, right? Oh, and Drip Drop, who knows what other theories he'll try and persuade you guys, right? And all these other creators that are just clickbaiting you. I mean, we're going to have to deal with this. Well, that's good for me because I'll just keep exposing them, right?
I think this is a really big case, and there's a lot to prepare on the defense side. So I don't find it that unusual because I've seen cases that, frankly, have taken years, Bill, to get to trial. I mean, maybe nobody likes that, but that can sometimes happen in these big cases.
I mean, it was really possible that even though the prosecutors don't think they can be ready till spring, there's no question when the defense will be ready as well. The defense is not going to rush. I completely agree. There is absolutely no reason for the defense to rush in this case.
Well, there's no reason for the defense to rush if they think their client is guilty. You know what I mean? Don't you think they would want to rush if they really believed that he was innocent? Right? I mean, why would they want an innocent man sitting in jail for another year? It just doesn't make sense to me. But you let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. This video's getting pretty long. But, hey, hit that like and subscribe button, guys. And until next time, True Crime King out.